Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Formula One podcast. After such a long break, they're now coming thick and fast, which can only be a good thing. Join Mark, James, Tony, and find out what's going on in the Formula One world. Now then, you love this podcast. We know you love this podcast. It's a great podcast. But how do these guys know you love this podcast? Have you liked it? Have you shared it with someone near and dear to you? What I'm trying to get at here is please do like, share, subscribe and comment and let these guys know how much you love their podcast. Anyway, enough from me. Let's hear from these guys. So here we go. This is CookieCast, straight to the apex.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Straight to the Apex, episode 7. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Well done.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Baku, Azerbaijan. My name's Tony, by the way, if you didn't know already. T-Dog. I am the joint leader of our little predictions. I'm the reigning quiz champion. I'm the reigning champion of tennis. I'm also the reigning champion of go-karting. Yeah. Hit me up if you want me to do any appearances. Anyway.
And that was episode 7 of Straight to the Apex, folks. Thank you, Tony, for the longest and most boring introduction in the world ever.
Full of lies.
I'm joined by the sexiest man on the podcast.
Yeah, we know.
James Stainforth.
How are we doing, peeps?
And also joined by Mark.
Is that all I get? Hello.
Oh, sorry.
I'll introduce you, Mark.
Go on.
I'll introduce you, Mark. The reigning season champion of the quiz. Seeing as though he won the entire season. And you've won 1 out of 1.
Thank you, James. I really appreciate that nice introduction. Unlike from the host, but never mind.
Reigning champion of eating the most Yorkshire puddings on a nice Sunday lunch.
Well, they shouldn't have been so goddamn good, should they?
Anyway.
Let's be honest. You lot had veg. I didn't fill up on that shit. I had carrots and Yorkshire puddings.
What a guy. What a guy. What a guy.
But
anyway.
just on the tennis thing, just to quickly say, I am playing someone different tomorrow. I'm really sorry. It's just that you haven't got back to me. So I'm playing someone else.
I mean, it's okay, Mark. It's absolutely fine. I mean, for the viewers that are listening and watching at home, I mean, to a quick history of me and Mark against tennis, playing each other against tennis. Mark beat me after playing. I haven't played for over a decade. We then very quickly played again, and I beat him. We then very quickly played again, and I beat him. And then
I think that was a draw, pal. I think that was a draw.
A few more weeks, I beat him again, and now he's found somebody else. So
okay, you
Anyway.
believe that? You believe that?
Don't worry, the silence speaks volumes. Baku, Azerbaijan. The new format, bit boring, bit safe, high risk, high reward, exhausting, confusing. Was it all about? It was shite. Tell us more, James. Tell us more. What are your thoughts on the new format?
There's my notes.
Wow, Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I've done a Tony.
Is that the FIA that you were describing there?
What, blank? A blank page?
Shambles.
confusing, exhausting, too much.
I've got doubts about the format, which I thought about over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I know last week on the podcast I was all for it and everything else. I think it's, maybe they do need to start looking at getting rid of some of the practice sessions, same as George said. But like you just touched on there, Tony, a lot of risk, high risk, high points and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But the amount of accidents we saw in the qualifying session, the sprint shootout, the sprint race, there's a lot of teams out there. In fact, every team out there hasn't incorporated that into their budget. So at the start of the season, everyone was given, right, this is your budget cap, this is what you can go to, and all that kind of bamf. And then 3 days before the first sprint race of the season, the FIA turn around and go, so we're going to do this now. So you've got to drive at full speed for additional time. You've got to use these tyres, blah, 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 blah. Now, Noel have put that into the budget. There's going to be additional power units, additional tyres. Christ, if you Pierre Gasly, gearbox, power units, chassis, because let's face it, if I had to be a mechanic that weekend, I wouldn't want to be Gasly's. Can you imagine, right, watching Pierre Gasly, his car set on fire, you and your mates do all this really hard graft, and you think, lads, we've got the car fixed, fucking brilliant, we've done it in record time. He's able to get out there and crack on. And within 30 seconds, he goes and crashes it into a wall.
Yep, I completely understand. I think
there's going to be a lot of penalties and fines potentially at the end of the season because of breaches to budget if this format sticks. Because I don't know if the FIA have actually turned around to them and said, look, we're going to do this for all the sprint races. So because of that, we're going to make some changes to your budget cap.
Well, before you answer, Mark, I've got quite a few questions on this. So, Mark, off you go. What do you think?
Well, I think they're giving them an additional engine, just to cover what you said, James. I don't know about budget. I think I had reservations about the weekend. I think for normal people that work Friday, 2 p.m. qualifying was no good. Obviously, I'm not a normal person. I don't work Friday. But I don't know. It was a bit of a rush. I mean, you had sessions where people didn't partake in it. Like Ocon, was it Ocon? Oh, no, it was Logan Sargent didn't take part in the sprint race because his car was damaged from sprint qualifying. So they didn't have time to repair it. Ocon then got pulled out because they wanted to change his suspension for Sunday's race. Who else? The qualifying, they'd run out of soft tyres. So Lando Norris couldn't partake in SQ3. It was a bit of a shambles. And I do feel like if he was there, like James's wife's parents was, it was probably amazing because every day meant something. But for the majority of people that watch on telly, it was just almost like information overload. And I don't agree with Max Verstappen a lot, but he was bored. He was pissed off. He made his feelings clear, and I do agree with him. I don't think it worked. I thought the race was boring. Quali was predictable. All right, we had surprises. But from a track that's produced so much in the previous years at Baku, the 17-lap race, barring a couple of incidents, which we'll talk about, it was just meh.
Okay, interesting.
I was massively disappointed with the race. And it's one of my favourite races of the season as well. I didn't even watch the end of it. I was like, oh, fuck this.
Well, first question. Was it the right order? Should it have been different? We had practice, qualifying for Sunday, then we had Saturday sprint, qualifying, and then we had a sprint race, and then on Sunday we then went back to Friday's qualifying for this actual race itself. I found that confusing.
I think it should have been Friday night sprint quali, Saturday morning sprint race, Saturday afternoon race quali, Sunday race. If that to me was the logical order. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I say scrap it.
100. Oh yeah, 100%.
It's too much. It's too much high demand. It's like I said. There's the money of it. There's now, granted, these drivers are doing these speeds all the time anyway, so they accept that they're getting in the car and they're taking massive risks and stuff like that. But why would you make them take the risk 4 times in that weekend? I mean, qualifying, then another qualifying, then a sprint, then the race. Do it like we did before. One qualifying session, that decides your pack order for the sprint race. The results of the sprint race is then the pack order for the race itself.
But then you get everyone being sensible in the sprint race
with additional
change,
and just leave it at that. Because, like I said, granted, they're used to these G's and all that kind of stuff, and getting in the car and, well, you know, if you're Roman Grosjean or anyone else like that, you know, you pretty much expect to hit a wall at some point. But taking them, the kind of G's that them guys put through the neck, and then doing it God knows how many more times in that week, it's just, that's too much, especially considering right on the back of it, they're going to Miami and racing again.
Yeah.
It's short recovery time.
I mean, I can play both points there. I mean, there's less planning, so you'd think it would be more entertaining because they're more guesswork. They're having to react live as they're driving. And I think a few drivers touched on that over the coverage that I watched on Sky this weekend. They're racing and feeding back and trying to change the car all at the same time. However, that's more guesswork. And I think it led to it being a lot more safer and boring. And I think that's what we ended up with.
So considering on the last podcast, me and James were James was quite positive about this change. I was quite positive about this change. You was negative about the change. What do you, obviously me and James now have decided it was the biggest waste of time going. What do you think, knowing that you went into, and God, your head will be even bigger that you was right. But what do you smacking at already? What do you think to the weekend? Because you already went into it thinking it was a load of bullshit.
I think it needs work. I think number one, the momentum needs to build from Friday to Sunday, not change. So I agree with what you said about making the sprint race qualifying, then manipulating it slightly. I'm still not happy with the way it was done, as it did. I think they could change it by, again, maybe adding more points to the sprint race, because that would then make certain teams push harder and try and race harder to try and gain points. For example, so like, why doesn't everybody get points from the sprint race and make it really interesting? So then them lower teams are not just going to settle, or the lower placings are not just going to settle. Or, here's another, before you answer, I get your feedback on that. What about changing the tyres and forcing people to use certain tyres? Again, force people to race harder than what they want. More of an incentive for them to go race harder, so we get more quality racing. It's more entertaining. To come full circle, it was okay. It wasn't shit, but I don't like it.
I honestly, they changed qualifying all them years ago to what the qualifying we have now, and you've just said the weekend should build. Well, practice into that qualifying, into the race on Sunday. That's your weekend building.
And that's true. Somebody touched on that I watched an interview. We've had years of F1, and we've got it to the stage that we're at now. Why this massive change, lastminute.com? Because it was, and we touched on it last week.
Because they're now more popular than ever because of Netflix and the Drive to Survive. And what they thought of, well, how can we make it more exciting? And what they've done is they've ruined the product they had.
But it doesn't benefit. I got another question. Did it benefit anybody more than other people?
Ferrari, because they got 2 poles.
But we need to... There's so many ways that you could look at it. But it didn't build up. The race should be the ultimate on the Sunday, should be the ultimate. So what? You just said it there. Ferrari got 2 poles, and people are thinking, oh, well, Ferrari did okay. Where the hell was they in the race?
Well, yeah.
It'd be all about the race. Really? We should
Mm.
be thinking, oh, by the way, an Alpine or an Alfa got 4 points because they finished 12th and 10th. Just hypothetical. I know it didn't happen, but do you know what I mean? Or it's not. It's just made it more stale. It's just made the whole weekend confusing. That's all I can keep saying. Confusing.
It was too much. I like the idea of the sprint race. I do enjoy. Well, I can't really say I do enjoy the sprint race because up until one just gone, it was the previous sprint race that we really enjoyed because everything happened. The other thing I liked about the sprint race as well is we keep going with the whole kind of the weekend progresses. It builds and builds and builds. With the original format of the sprint race, it was still that kind of practice, quali, sprint race. So it's still got bigger ingredients, whereas this one, it's like big, small, big. It's all over the place. So I don't mind the sprint race, but I think the new format that they brought in for this weekend was just too much.
I've just thought of an idea that would make it more interesting, possibly. Have qualifying Saturday as normal. That's your qualifying for Sunday. Yeah. In between, have a sprint race that's the reverse of qualifying. So your first, Max, starts last in the sprint race. You would get racing because
you'd get a lot of racing.
Your point positions are your top 8 in the sprint or whatever it is. You would then have people like Tony just touched on busting a gut and they're having to come through the field, and you won't get anyone manipulating qualifying because that qualifying is set the Sunday, the main points race grid. So have the sprint race as a reverse order of qualifying.
I like that. As well as that, the lower ranking teams, you know, your Haas and stuff like that, have got better opportunities of getting points.
Yep.
And for those kind of teams, you know, those 1 or 2 points here and there is the difference of a couple of £1 million. You know, because all of a sudden it's like we're getting a bit more sponsorship and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I like that. I think that'd be a good shout.
I think reverse grids are ultimate entertainment, but the ultimate content, so contentious, like the ultimate.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But the way this sport is going, and we joke about it all the time, you never know, something like that could happen. I still think, Mark, that somebody would find a way how to not cheat it, but find a way how to make it work in their favour.
Oh, Christian Horner would be all over it.
Say that's like Haas. What's the point in Haas? Any team. I'm not picking on Haas, but I'll use them as an example. they know they're not going to do well at the race, or they know they're going to be in contention for 10th or a few points. So the qualifying, they just absolutely shut it down. 1 lap, 2 lap, game over. They're 19th and 20th. Suddenly they're the first in the sprint race. They absolutely try and nail it from the start to try and get as many points as they can. Because if they get, is it 8 for first, 7 for second? All right, that something like that. 50. So they get 15 points. To get that in the actual race, it'd be a miracle for them to get 15 points or even close. So they'd find a way. I think they'd find a way. It's a good idea. We might get there.
I think.
Go on.
Do you think they'll change? So the next sprint race is, I think it's in a few, 2 or 3 races time. I think it's Hungary, or Spa, could be Spa, but wherever it is. Where is it?
Austria, Qatar, Belgium, Brazil. I've just got
so Austria next.
I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. So are they going to change it before then? Probably change the format again.
James, what do you think? Final thoughts on this?
I think they've definitely got to review it. I'm all for change and stuff like that. You know, looking at where you can improve it, but yeah, I don't think they can stick with what they've just done. They've got to review it and either think, let's revert back to what we had it previously, or you know, what changes do we bring in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way my answer, who knows? They changed it last minute this time. God knows what they'll do.
Yeah.
God knows.
Exactly.
God knows. Right then. Any news quickly before we move on to the nitty-gritty of this weekend? Any news? Vettel is at good. I've got.
Oh
Vettel
yeah.
is
Yeah.
I'm going to say I've seen that, but all I was going to say was it says it all about this bloody racing weekend when you go through the F1 app for any breaking news, and there isn't any.
Yeah.
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 Boring. F1 game has been revealed for 2023.
Yeah.
Many updates, whatever. No, yeah, okay. There's supposedly some German radio station has, and I've literally just read this, has made an AI Schumacher, and they've called it a breaking exclusive Schumacher interview.
I saw that they've apologised for it, haven't they?
They've apologised, and the guy's got sacks.
Yeah.
Nobody's got an interview with Michael Schumacher.
No.
Absolutely horrific.
Yep.
Wow.
Horrific.
So what? So it was like an actual kind of speech thing. Obviously,
Yeah.
AI doing it, but
they've asked questions.
Audio.
Then they've put Michael Schumacher's voice to the AI.
It sounds like they was interviewing him and it was an AI. Yeah.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Mm.
That's mad. AI. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to the weekend. McLaren upgrades, floor, wing, Alpine upgrades. Any more to say upgrade wise?
No.
You've fallen asleep yet? No. Carry on. Okay. Is Perez?
how are you going to instigate Horner's corner here?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
We're all itching.
Oh,
It might be coming. It might be
Get
coming
there.
right now. Is Perez a title contender?
Yes.
No.
Wow.
No way.
Amazing. This is why we have Straight to the Apex for views like this. Who wants to go first here? Mark?
Shall I tell you why he isn't? Right. So he's not going to be because of Christian Horner's comments on the radio to Max after the race. He was like, you didn't even hear him on the radio to Perez when he won. I don't know. I think it was Perez's chief mechanic. Christian didn't say anything. To Max, Christian come on straight away. He was like, don't worry, Max. He said something like, don't worry, Max, unlucky, we'll get him next time or something. It's your fucking teammate. Like,
That's
he's
because
still
Joss
your
was stood
team.
there next to Christian going, I'm going to fucking cut you.
Probably. And that is the reason why Perez will not be allowed. I totally get that Australia, if Perez had a problem, didn't he? Or there was a red flag and he basically got... he got absolutely royally robbed. If he'd have got that race, he would have been in front of Max now in the championship. I honestly think Red Bull, I mean, either Perez is going to ignore team orders and they'll crash, or Max, his dad, and Christian will make it so that Perez suddenly has issues. But so why do you think, James? Why do you think he's
James, tell me.
So, right, okay. If we're being realistic.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so, you know, yes, there'll be sabotage. Yes, Christian Horner will buy a bigger canteen, but, you know, it will fuck up Perez in some kind of way. Then, yes, I absolutely agree with Mark. Perez will not get a championship with Red Bull. The reason I said yes is because the way I see it is if there was fairly, if there wasn't all this controversy in the background, or like I said, Max got all 6 engines last year and Perez fucking got the shit and that's why he got all the penalties, then yes, he would be in contention. He would give fucking Max a good push and a really good fight. So, yes, that's my point. Yes, Max would be a contender for a title. Sorry, Perez would be a contender for the title if everything worked well. But in the realistic world, which we all live in, including Mark, where, let's face it, Christian Horner, Jos and Max are all going to fuck Perez up royally. Yeah,
I'm totally with you, James. In a fair world, Perez has put himself in a position where he should be title contender. Should be. His performance is like Max could not cope with him this weekend at all.
No, and all he did was spit his fucking dummy out the whole weekend.
Yeah. I mean, he don't like the sprint race, Max. He had a bee in his bonnet with George. He had a bee in his bonnet about Perez. I honestly think, if everything was fair, Perez is got himself in a title shot. He did this year, last year, though. And what happened? All of a sudden, he was in contention and he slowly faded away because of certain other things.
Yeah, there's only 6 points between them now after this weekend. So, yeah, let's see how many engine failures and tyre outages and everything else that Perez can have for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
While Max just drives off going, my car's fine. La 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 la. Prick.
I think if you look at
the has been instigated already. Sorry.
If you look at the facts, we'll come back here. Don't worry. It's to the corner. If you look at the facts, Perez should be beating Max right now. It's just barring Melbourne. If you're an optimist, I think you again see that Perez is a title contender. However, what you're both saying, I think is potentially correct. However, some part of me wants to see Perez go rogue and have a villain era.
100%. He's too nice, but he's got to be a dick.
Get under this massive egotistical Max Verstappen right under his skin and push him.
He's got to do what they say in the business as do a Rosberg.
Yes, and that is what's been touched in a few interviews that I've seen. Really
he should do a wacky Phoenix in Gladiator. Just walk up to Max and say, embrace me, brother. And then just shank him in the kidney just before we get on the race.
They're going to collide. They're going to collide.
Yeah.
This is his moment. This is Perez. This is how he's This is his moment. I don't think he's going to get a better moment. And it's up to him whether he wants to be a dick. And trust me, if you're listening, Sergio, everybody wants you to be a dick and just take it every fucking race.
But Red Bull have got an ace in their sleeve. If he starts being a dick, what's going to happen?
This then plays into what we've already spoken about.
Yep.
But yeah, I was about to say that's the annoying thing. Because what I was a second ago going to say was the thing is last year Perez had a very similar moment where all of a sudden he was in contention and Christian Horner went, oh, well, he's in contention, blah, 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 blah. I got 2 races, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden his career turned to shit last year. And then he started making the comments of, we'll talk after the race. So you could tell Perez was pissed off.
And it was all kind of
smoothed over. Again. Yeah. He's got the opportunity to be a dick again. But like Mark just said, Red Bull have got the ace up the sleeve. And what you're about to say, Tony, I know is exactly what myself, Mark, and you have all called out, that at some point Perez is going to probably face the boot.
Well, I think he has to go for it right now.
Oh, he does. 100% he has got to. If team orders, let Max buy.
No, fuck you. No. Multi-21. Go on, go for it.
He's going full Vettel. I want him to go full Vettel and Webber.
Do it.
But it's going to happen. And
I want to see Max Verstappen. The pressure get to him, because I'm feeling the pressure is getting to him. He's not getting his own way.
It's already happened. I mean, look at him with Russell this weekend.
George Russell, he's getting there. People, and you know what, George? I'll get to the George Russell bit soon. He needs to be pushed. Somebody needs to really piss him off and see what happens. And I hope that somebody really gets under his skin and he hits the gravel. That's all I can say. Anyway, any more to say on that?
No.
Let's quickly whiz through the shite that was this weekend. In practice, Gasly had a fire, and he's in his car turned into what I can only describe as, what shall I say, a mallard train for a second. And K-Mag had an error as well.
Yep.
Quali, which was on a Friday, which we don't agree with. De Vries, hard and fast into the wall. Red flag. Gasly crashed. Hard and fast. You know what I mean. Everyone knows what I mean. Russell out in Q2.
Like you wanted to ride James on Sunday. Hard and fast.
Moving on. Leclerc 1. Max 2. Perez third. And the rest is history. SQ1. Logan again. Well, not Logan again, but Logan again. Red flag. End of the session, blame Ferrari. Leclerc crashed.
It was, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it, but Leclerc crashed and he stopped Sainz getting in there. But it was already done by Leclerc, got the pole. Perez second, Max third, Russell fourth. Norris, did he even come out for that last one? I'm not sure.
No.
I think he's got...
No, because he didn't have any new softs. So he wasn't allowed to compete. So he was 10th. And he knocked out his teammate who had a new pair of softs.
There we go. The bullshit that was this weekend. Anyway, spring. The spring. Russell and Max second corner, they touched.
Well, we've got 3 minutes left. Should we pick that point up? Because I feel like we've got more than 3 minutes of content on there.
I was going to say, yeah, there's a good 10 minutes there.
All right,
with
then.
that prick.
With that, shall we take a break? But before we take a break, I just want to say thank you to Andy at CookieCast for everything that you do, man. We appreciate it. And
any movement on your adverts for him?
I was going to say.
I mean, he set up a time and a day, but unfortunately, I was already I was preoccupied with other places that I needed to be. So, but I will get back to him and we'll get it. So I'm
Bullshit.
sorry. I'm sorry,
Alright,
Andy,
Jersey. Forgot he was busy. Can you?
Just before we go, Mark, thank God you turned the lights on, because I thought for 1 minute you was at number 4 Privet Drive, in the under the stairs. So thank God you did that.
No problem. Anytime.
I'll see you on the other side, and it's going to get tasty. It's going to get tasty, like a
Bye-bye.
burger.
Hey, you. Yeah, you that's listening right now. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode of Straight to the Apex, the Formula One podcast from CookieCast. If you're enjoying this episode, why not like, share and subscribe? Whilst you're there, feel free to check out some of the other podcasts that CookieCast has to offer. If you like football, we've got a football podcast. NFL more your thing? Then the Laces Out podcast is for you. Maybe even a little bit of the wrestling. Just look for the Getting Over podcast on CookieCast. Maybe you want to listen to Andy's Darkest Timeline. It's there too. So, the F1 boys have probably got themselves a drink. It's time to get back to the action.
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back to Straight to the Apex, episode 7, Baku, part 2. And we were just getting on to the sprint race. Russell and Max, second corner touch. It got a little bit feisty. They all kicked off a bit. And that was probably one of the biggest talking points of the whole weekend. Mark, whose fault was it?
It was a racing incident. But when you're on the outside of a corner, you put yourself in danger. Like Max has said many times when people have made moves or he's made moves before. And when he's, gone on the inside and someone's in the outside and they've touched, well, I had the corner. But it was a bit different when Max Verstappen was on the outside, wasn't it?
Very correct.
I mean, when they hit, I thought it was fair racing for 3 corners. They were side by side. George didn't give up. Probably much to the delight of you, Tony, that George didn't give up. But the naughty thing for me was when George moved across him on the 4th corner. And he just went in front of him and he did basically force Max to back off. That was a bit naughty. But up until that point, I thought it was 50-50 racing. It was just a racing incident.
Okay. James.
If there was a beep machine on this podcast, I could break it.
Wow.
And if I could use the C-bomb, I'd use it.
Wow.
Potentially several times. I agree with Mark. Max has done that every time. And the one time it happens to him, he gets his dummy and he throws it across the fucking track. And then Josh takes his dummy out and throws his across the track as well.
Mm-hmm.
And goes running to Christian. And Christian's like, oh, don't worry, I'll look after him. Pricks. Absolute pricks. And I don't even think what George did on that 4th corner was naughty. That is only the same thing that Max has done. Again, it's just a case of George just sat there and thought, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I've seen it. There's been a couple of people that have commented on posts on Facebook, and I just love the line where it just goes, Max got Verstappen.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And he did. And you know what? Absolute dickhead all the way through.
He sounded like Max as George was walking away then. Dickhead.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, really good point, because that is exactly what he called him. Yeah. I mean, there was that bit, the post-race, and they stood there, and George just goes, look, apologies, I had no grip. So George goes over and apologises. I had no grip. I had cold tyres. Max goes, we all had cold tyres, mate. We all had no grip. Blah, blah, blah. And at that, George, again, did the right thing and just walked off because he knew if he'd have stayed, it'd have got heated. And when I say heated, Max would have took a swing. And anyone who disagrees with me, sorry, mate, he's done it before. He went in after a race and fucking clocked Ocon.
Do you know what the worst thing was about it? The radio messages from his team engineer.
Hold up. Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Because, what I've got damage. How have I got damage? We know, Max. Was it him? Like, it's all a bit petty and feeding Max's ego that he's right.
See, this is the other thing that pisses me off. It's the snide comments from Red Bull, and they are just they are the obsessed ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. Oh, sorry, I'll just, you know what? I'm not even going to go like that. I'll just say the obsessed ex. You know, they just don't fucking let it go. They're going on. Now, I'm a Mercedes fan, granted, and Red Bull are going on like Mercedes are the biggest fucking enemy. And I hate saying it, but they really ain't. Mercedes ain't their race this year.
No.
It's not. But they're sitting there worrying about Mercedes. And it's all they seem to go on about. Sorry, mate. Get a grip. Yeah, exactly. Move on. You've won twice. You've got a Constructors' Championship. Get over it. Start looking after yourself, because at the moment, Ferrari are right on your fucking tails. And they'll take you. They really will. But, yeah, all the comments, like, you know, when he overtakes Russell, and he goes, well overtook there, Max. Didn't even have to make contact there. And Max goes, yeah, I know how to do that shit. It's like, yeah, it's funny that, mate, because I remember you parking your car on top of fucking Lewis Hamilton's head 2 years ago.
Well,
you know how to do that shit.
That is my exact point. Look at the crash. Look what happened between Max and Lewis at Monza, where Max was on the outside of that corner and he didn't give up, and he was like, oh, he didn't give me space. So it's a bit different than when it's the shoes on the other foot then.
Yeah.
I just think I want to like Max and then do shit like this, because the boy is talented. He can drive a bloody race car fast. He's a very bloody good driver, and I really do want to like him. I just don't like all the bullshit that comes with him, and the fact that he thinks he's owed a championship every year now because he's won two. One.
You know what? I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. When Max first started, God knows how many years ago it was now, I said pretty much after one of his first races, he's the one to watch. He is going to become one of the best racers out there. And he really is. Like Mark just said, he's one of the most talented drivers now. He can really move a car. He really knows how to work it. But he is just a dick. And not your typical F1 racing dick, you know, not your typical Michael Schumacher or Ayrton Senna or anyone like that. He is like uber dick. He's
uber dick.
And yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if we can say
he's got to. He's just got to reel his arrogance in, and unfortunately, until someone takes him out, and I don't mean that in a threatening way either. When I say takes him out, I mean knocks him off his pedestal. He's not going to rein it in. He's really not. So you know what? I am all for the likes of George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, any other drivers who are going to stand up to him, like George Russell and Lewis Hamilton having races.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It needs to be knocked down.
I agree.
Either that, or someone just needs to drop a house on Jos Verstappen's head. And yes, I'm going down the Wicked Witch of the West kind of route, but I always kind of like that little story.
Sounding dark, I'll be honest.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not dark. It's just a term I often use with people that I despise.
That's all right then. That's all right.
Jos, if you're listening, I hate you.
Send him a smile on his face.
Honestly.
But yeah, there is still a part of me that thinks if Josh wasn't around, would Max be like that? Because I've actually heard a story about when Max was younger. I think he was 11 years old and he was in the karting start of things. He was in a final. He had the lead. He got overtaken on the second corner. And he was like, no, I'm going to get it back. And I don't know what happened or anything else like that, but he spun off and he didn't finish the race. And apparently, good old Daddy didn't speak to him for that entire thing afterwards, including the 2-day drive home. Although it wasn't a 2-day drive home for Max, because Max apparently was sitting there trying to apologise to his father and ask him to speak to him. And at that, Daddy pulled over in a gas station, told him to get out, and he drove off.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a part of me who just thinks if good old Daddy figure wasn't there applying pressure to Max, what kind of racer would you have then? I think you'd still have the same aggression and talent and everything else like that, but you wouldn't have the dick.
Drivers win at all costs. It's how they do it. And I think that Max, with Daddy's influence, is going too far. Definitely going too far.
And I mean, I don't understand how people can like Max. We've said it previously. I've touched on it previously. I'm not going to go over it again. It's going to go bang. I think it's going to go bang for Max Verstappen at some point. He's going to crash or something is going to happen big and he will have to reel it in. I definitely think that's going to happen. My thoughts quickly. I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. Kudos to George. I'm not holding back because he's leading the championship. I honestly thought he would understeer and full on take him out, but that's George Russell of old. But hey, I usually don't like him, but if he's picking fights with Max, then I can be a bit more lenient towards him. So
I'm glad it was George and not a weaker driver, because Lewis has stood up to Max. He didn't give shit. I'm so glad George didn't, just say, "Oh, that's my fault, Max." He actually stood up to him and said, "What does he want us to do? Just drive around in a lamb?" Fair play to George. He showed a bit of personality, and even Tony's turned the corner with George, so he must have done something right.
I'd also just like at this point just apologise to Andy when he listens back to this. I know I'm normally light-hearted and quite jovial and everything else like that, but yeah, that arsehole pissed me off a little bit. So apologies, Andy.
Let's move swiftly on.
Okay.
Yuki, however, couldn't really turn the corner like me and George Russell's views. Because he took his tyre off and it then rolled down a hill, which then turned into a virtual safety car, which completely poo-pooed the start of the sprint race, if not the whole sprint race. Restarted, Max blew past Russell, and Lewis lost out on the restart. I think he got passed by a few people.
Alonso did him with a great move.
Perez did Leclerc, and it all kind of finished Perez, Leclerc, Max, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Ham, Stroll, Albon, Piastri. And then we got finally, we made it to the race. Straight away, as usually happens, lap 2, there's a touch, Albon on Piastri, Bottas absolutely completely shit his pants, a bit like me and others around the world. Can't believe I just touched on that again. Anyway, Bottas dropped 5 places. Max then breezed past Leclerc, and then Perez did also. And then Hamilton pitted. Don't really know why. I think he was maybe trying to jump ahead. But then De Vries parks his car and doesn't move it, which then Max jumps in. And he jumped in a bit too early because it turned into a safety car and he completely shit out. Russell and Stroll had a bit of a fight in the pit lane. Stroll trying to slow down and not double stacking. Stroll slowed down. Russell wasn't having any of it. So there was almost a race in the pit lane, which don't know what happened about that. I don't think anything else happened.
They reviewed it and just let it go. They said it was fair.
Anyway, we got underway. Max passed Leclerc. Alonso passes Sainz, which I would say was the pass of the race on turn 6, straight up the inside. Lando passed Hulkenberg, and then it jumps all the way to 46 because nothing, absolutely jack shit, really happened. Lando then passed Hulkenberg, Russell pitted, and then we had the absolute fiasco, a shambles, many should say, or did say, Ocon coming down the pit lane, and, and he nearly went, and this reminded me of something of childhood. You know, on GTA 3 specifically, when you steal a car, mount the curb, and you just motherfuck down out of every single person on that fucking... He nearly did that in real life.
He did.
Oh, I thought he was going somewhere else with GTA then, because I was about to say, I don't remember Ocon picking up a prostitute, doing the deed, and then killing her directly afterwards just to get his money back.
Are you sure that's not you on GTA, James?
The FIA are investigating themselves because of it.
They've got a few names on this document. The stewards are involved as well. God knows what happened. But
it reminded me of the opening credits to The Simpsons when Homer just gets out of his car and the car just goes like that.
Shout out Adam for that as well. I'm sure he put a meme up somewhere about that.
But shout out Ted Kravitz. He saw that coming. Saw it unfolding. It was like, this is going to happen. And he called it.
Imagine if Ocon hit somebody. Hit a few... In all seriousness. And Ted and the world has just watched slowly a horror show.
Scary, isn't it? Scary.
Yeah, because they're still in good. Granted, they're going slow in the pit lane, but it ain't slow.
F1 in 2023. Who would know? Anyway, it ended. Perez, Max, Leclerc, Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Norris, Tsunoda. Interesting. Any Aston Martin bromance? Did anybody spot this as well on the onboard?
I won't attack him.
You might want to check the brakes in this certain area.
God, yeah.
What a guy.
I was a bit Alex. One's going, get him to put the same settings on that I've got. It's working a treat for me. And then straight afterwards, he goes and hits a wall. So,
his experience and just being a swell guy in motor racing paid off dividends there.
Oh, you're back on board, are you? You're back on board.
Maybe. Speaking about back on board, does anybody else have anything else to say about the race? I'm guessing James hasn't because he's just left the podcast.
He's just gone. No, I think you've covered everything there, Tony.
Beautiful. Should we quickly move on to prediction?
Yo.
For those that are listening, James has now got an Aston Martin cap and some glasses. Sporting
many glasses, Tony.
Oh, the Chanel. Shout out Chanel and
beautiful. They suit you more than they do Jim, Tony, to be fair.
Of course they do. I get introduced as the sexy one on the podcast.
Could that guy get any sexier? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Literally, you can't stand up, can you, Tony, now he's wearing your cap and glasses? Whoa.
I'm speechless.
He's walked off again.
And he's got orange on his
top.
It's like he's copying my style. That's all
he is. He's a week behind you. He's got the orange McLaren.
Oh, yeah, I've got the orange top on, yeah.
Anyway, picks. Let's just review what happened. Mark, you had Max, Perez, Hamilton. You scored jack shit and you still are on 7, which I got in one race. You've only accumulated that over 4. Sad times. Anyway, moving on very swiftly. James, Alonso Max Hamilton. Max gets you 2 points. You're on 10. Welcome to the top. Tony, Max, Perez, Russell, 0, 0, 0, 10 points. Joint lead. Beth, Max, Lewis, Perez, 0, 3. Katie, Hamilton, Alonso, Stroll, 0, 0, 0, 4 points. Russell, Alonso, Sainz was Charlie's picks, and they were bigged up last week. She got 0. But she did call a Ferrari in the top 3, which I completely destroyed her on. I was wrong, and I apologise. So
Still wrong though, wasn't she? You know, she had all that research. She was still wrong. I said that to her face on Sunday, but she was still wrong.
Wow. Somebody did say that the Red Bulls would collide as well.
Charlie thought there'd be
But to be fair,
wipeout.
that might have been right if Max hadn't pitted when he did, because Perez was catching him at a fair rate, so she might have actually got that back spot on.
But what she did get right was somebody has won it differently every year. There's not been the same winner from the previous year. So she's right about that.
Yeah, but she's also wrong now.
Yeah. Anyway, picks for this upcoming Miami GP. Would you like to do them now?
Yep, can do.
Yeah.
The host goes first.
Them's the rules.
You made a very big deal about that last week, Tony, so yeah.
Them's the rules. Yeah, go on.
Them's the rules.
I have gone Max first, Perez second. And I've gone Alonso third.
Interesting.
Oh, look, he's back on his bandwagon again.
Yeah, it's not taking.
You get a little Goose and Maverick moment, and that's it. You know, you're touching yourself. I touch myself.
In the cap you're wearing normally.
Oh!
And the lights come on. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Yeah, go James.
So I've got Max for the win. I've got Leclerc for second. And Sainz for third. Because we've already said it. We're realists. Perez is going to get fucked over.
I like your thinking.
I
like your thinking.
I like your thinking.
Mark.
So I had written down Perez first and Max second, but then I changed my mind because I thought Perez will not be allowed to win 2 races back to back, even though Miami is technically a street circuit, and even though he will probably be quicker, Red Bull will fudge it. So I do think it will be Max, Perez, and then Charles Leclerc.
Ooh. I like it, Mark. I like it. Mark's playing chess and checkers. I like it. Beth has gone for Max, Perez, Sainz. Interesting obsession of Sainz here.
Especially when he was nearly a second off Leclerc. Yeah, very interesting last race. Yeah, in qualifying, he was about 0.8 off him, off Leclerc, which is a massive gap, really.
I just don't believe these. I know Leclerc got a podium, but I don't believe it. I don't believe the hype.
No.
Anyway, Katie Smith.
Yep, so Katie's gone for Lewis to win, Leclerc second, and Perez third.
Interesting.
I like that pick. Mainly because Dickhead ain't in it.
Well, she's following the theme of she refuses to pick him because she hates him. So, yeah, she has not picked him yet, and that she will continue not to pick him.
Wow. I like it.
It's a bit like Charlie's dad refusing to go to the podium in Spa when Sebastian Vettel won it.
He
didn't like it. I'm not going there.
Can't hate Seb.
Didn't like Seb at the time.
Well, I suppose he did go through that phase.
Back in the day, German. What a bastard.
So Charlie has gone with Perez for the win, Leclerc second, and Alonso in third.
Ooh. Wow.
Don't say it's spicy. We said this last week, and then she got jack shit.
I think the safe bet is Max to win. It's always the safe bet. Perez second is another very safe bet.
Usually. Not anymore, it ain't.
Yeah, because of what we've already said. It's interesting. My view, quickly. Leclerc, the Ferrari's tyres, I don't think are the greatest. The race pace, it got better this weekend. I still don't believe that. Leclerc, kudos to Mark Wilkin here, has a mistake in him. Sainz,
he's got a crash in him.
Isn't the greatest.
Sainz is struggling. Sainz is really struggling this year with the car.
Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah,
this year.
He's still in that pit lane crying about the penalty they gave him 1 lap left. He's still like, come on, you got to give me chat. No, it's not fair. You got to appeal. And like, mate, it was like 5 weeks ago.
He's
asking his dad why he can't be as aggressive as Josh Verstappen.
Still fucking crying. Anyway, anything else? Any other predictions or thoughts or anything?
No.
Beautiful. Right then. I've got a quick little quiz. Is that all right?
Yeah. I think you've whizzed through. We've got time. Let's go.
There's quite a few questions. Before each question, I'll tell you the format of each question. All right?
Is it pizza or burger?
This is the bullshit quiz we had last week.
Is it pizza
It's
or burger?
not going to be a bullshit quiz, and it's not going to be poorly hosted. Each question will be individually explained how to answer and answers.
So we've got a thank off for this quiz then.
You've been a bit of a dick now. Second of all, my hosting skills was fine on Sunday.
What do you mean? A bit of a dick?
You've been a bit of a dick. You've been a bit of a dick now. Oh, stop it. You're being a bit of a dick now.
Right. You don't want to know what I'm going to do to your hat.
Wow.
I'm going to do a Tony in your hat.
Just good. You're going to imprint it in the bloody screed, aren't you, you son of a bitch?
Hey, you leave that screed alone.
He's going to put it all in that bucket of screed and just leave it there.
That screed is perfect. There is now a brand new fridge freezer and a dryer sat on that screed, and it is doing fine. So again, thank you to Mark.
Yeah. How did Tony help us doing that screed? Oh, that's right. He didn't. Yeah.
He got beaten up by a 4-year-old repeatedly.
He
did. Yeah,
I was sword. I was shot at. I was beaten up. I'm pretty sure at one point I was tied up. Anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? On the back of it, mate, you was adopted and he was really upset when you weren't there.
It was that poor video, bless him. I mean, I'm sorry to say this about you and Charlie, Tony, but James, but what have you done to that child that he really wants Tony as his big brother? I mean, I think it was either I adopt Tony as big brother or I have to watch the Lewis Capaldi video again.
And
he was like, I can't do that shit no more.
Don't watch that video. Don't watch that video.
Go on, say.
Unless you're a cat person.
Right, question number 1. This is fastest finger first. The race, on the same day as the race, it was the anniversary of the passing of a certain driver who died in 1994 at Imola. Who was that driver?
Mark.
James was first.
He was.
Certain Senna.
Incorrect, Mark?
No, I'm going to say it's not, is it?
It's Roland Ratzenberger.
Well done, Mark.
Roland Rat? I used to watch him on a Saturday morning when I was a kid.
Yeah, and he died.
It was Roland It was Roland. Is it Ratzenberger?
Ratzenberger, yeah.
Died, James. Not Roland the Rat.
Thank God for that.
Senna died the next. Senna died.
So first Roland Rat, then Sutty, Gordon the Gopher. What the
Oh.
fuck goes wrong after that?
Long as you don't say Sweep's name, that's
Question. What a guy! What a guy!
What a
Question
guy.
number 2. Max got another podium, and this is again fastest finger first, but there is a multiple choice. All right.
Okay.
Max got another podium. What number podium was it? Was it 70, 81, or 75?
Mark.
Mark is first.
75.
Incorrect.
Does that mean I can pinch it down?
Yeah.
Pretty certain it was his 70th.
Incorrect. It was 81st.
81st. Who cares? He's a prick.
Fastest finger. With it being his 81st, he passed a certain driver. Who was that?
Mark, was it Sebastian Vettel?
Incorrect.
Took a stab.
I don't know why, but I kind of want to say Schumacher.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, fuck it.
Incorrect.
If
It
not,
was
then I'll
Senna.
blame AI.
It was Senna.
Senna, all right.
Senna. How many points? And this question is a multiple choice, fastest finger first. How many points did Red Bull get this race? Was it 43, 38, or 45?
Fuck.
Say your name if you would like to answer the question.
What was the choices again?
43, 38, 45.
James.
James.
It's 45.
That's incorrect.
I'm doing great, aren't I?
So
Are we
what-
including the sprint race by any chance?
So what was the other two? 48 and
43 and 38. How
Oh,
many
you-
points did Red Bull
You
get
dick.
this
I
race?
saw your face then.
was it 43?
Yes, it was. Is there any kickback to that question? I don't think I pulled a face, but did I pull a face?
I thought you kind of pulled the face when I asked, are we including the sprint race? And you kind of just went,
I did put this race, and if you think I didn't really specify which race, but I would think from the answers I gave you, you would think, James, how long have you been a fan of F1? And the actual maximum points you can get is 44. That's adding the fastest lap. And you guessed 45. I rest my case. Mark, you're winning. So, fastest finger first here. Ready? Who got the fastest lap in
Mark.
Miami? Go on.
Oh, you absolute
I'm
hero.
going to say that was a shit move, that.
For the fastest lap last year in Miami. Was it George Russell?
Incorrect.
James.
James.
Fuck it, Perez.
For fuck's sake, James. No, it was Max Verstappen.
Who
It
cares?
was
He's a prick.
Russell this year. It was Russell, but it was a red herring, as you could all tell.
Yeah.
But you were all
What,
smart.
because you waited for, 30
Yeah.
seconds and went, in Miami?
Has fastest finger first. There's obviously it's yes or no. Has any other driver won twice in Azerbaijan?
Mark.
James.
It was James first.
No.
You are. I suppose the question here is a bit. And can you explain your answer?
You asked me, has there ever been any other, what was it? Has anyone else ever won the race at Azerbaijan twice? Pretty much. Might not be word for word, but that was its common gist. So I said no, because Perez is the first person to win it twice.
You're correct, James. You're correct. But I will
Good,
say...
because I was about to drive over there and knock you out.
The less said about that question, the better. Anyway, so, again, fastest finger first. What is the tallest buildings in Baku called? Is it the Flame Towers?
Mark.
Mark.
The Flame Towers.
Correct, Mark. Well done.
That was a question last year. And I'm pretty certain it was you who asked that question. What's going to be the next one? What's longer, spaghetti or tagliatelle?
Do I like burgers or pizzas?
Fucking bullshit quiz.
Fastest finger first. Who plays at the stadium at the centre of the Miami track?
Mark. Miami Dolphins.
Oh.
Correct. James, you need to stop complaining and start answering some questions here, buddy. Fastest finger first. There's a few answers for this one, so James, you could use this to your advantage. Who crashed into who at Miami last year?
Give us the options then.
No, you gotta. There's a few options.
All right, so our options are of 20.
There's a few answers.
All I can remember is that shit fake fucking marina.
There's a few answers.
So there's a few crashes.
Come on. Who went into who? There was one big crash. There was maybe another one that was similar. But I'll give you a few clues. There was one that was dubbed Master and Apprentice. Somebody went into somebody there.
Mark, was it Sainz and Alonso?
No.
We say Master and Apprentice. I thought that's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah, I was going down the Alonso route there.
Somebody went wide, and then somebody else hit them. I'll give you 10 seconds. Go on.
I'm going to go out on the safe bet because it was last year and say Latifi.
No.
Oh, really?
Anybody else? Anything else?
No.
Norris went into Gasly. Gasly went wide. And then Norris hit him and went crazy. Schumacher went into Vettel, if you remember.
Schumacher. Mick Schumacher.
Yeah.
And Alonso,
went
into Gasly.
Right.
Fastest finger first again, guys. There's no options for this. What event did Daniel Ricciardo attend this week?
Mark.
Job centre.
It was what's it? Is it the gala? The gala?
Oh, yeah.
There's something at the start of that, Mark.
James. No, it's not going to make any difference anyway. Mark's won it, but it's the Met Gala.
Met Gala.
It's actually 4-2. What colour was his suit? Fastest finger.
Mark blue.
Incorrect. James.
White.
Fucking incorrect, man.
I don't watch the Met Gala bullshit.
Black.
Like every suit then, basically.
Right, you're saying that like I should have known that because that's standard. I've seen the
one.
picture. There was one guy that was wearing.
There's 2 more questions left.
Well, you best hurry up because you got a minute.
What is the nickname of Miami? Is it Sin City, City of Trees, Magic City, or the Big Apple?
Mark, Sin City.
Incorrect.
James, Magic City.
That's correct. Fucking well done. What type of architecture is Miami known for? Is it Gothic, Renaissance, Art Deco, or medieval?
James.
Art
Deco.
It's fucking back in the game, guys. Are we out of time? I mean,
pretty much. We'll have to leave it as a draw.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I think Mark just got scared.
Okay, last question.
No,
Which
you
one?
haven't got time, mate. Mate, you haven't got time.
Yeah, we haven't got time now, buddy.
Well, we'll have to call it there then. It's a draw at the very last second. So we'll have to see you next week and find out who wins this quiz. So if anything, you've got to tune in for that. That's all I can say. Thank you, everybody.
Let's go with that. Part 2.
Miami, next week. Miami. It's going to be hotter and it's back to normal. So it's going to be good. That's all I can say. It's going to be good. I'll see you on the other side, guys. And again, tune in on all platforms. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
So there you go. What do you think of that? Another week gone. Another week of race. Races? Race? Another race gone. Another race to come. Let's put it like that. That's the better way. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you go, one last thing you could do for us, especially for these guys, is like, share, subscribe, do all the button clicks, leave them a review. Tell other people how amazing this podcast is. You can also check out the website where you can contact these guys direct using either the social media links that are there or clicking the email button. Send them an email. Say, hey, love your podcast. Keep doing it. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.